You know how it is. You're looking for a hair tool that can give you those perfect waves, but you don't want to spend a fortune. It feels kind of impossible, right? Well, today, we're diving into a review from HairBrushy.com about a potential contender, the InStyler Freestyle Wand. It promises great results at a low price, but is it actually too good to be true? Let's find out. I mean, let's be real. We've all heard the saying, you get what you pay for, and that's often super true when it comes to hair tech. So the big question here is, can this really affordable wand actually give you the soft, beautiful waves it promises? Or is it just another one of those tools that's destined to end up in the back of a drawer? So what is this thing exactly? Well, first off, it's not your typical curling iron. For starters, there's no clamp, which is a big deal if you hate those weird creases you can get in your hair. And second, it's covered in these bristles that are supposed to help guide your hair as you wrap it. The whole idea is simple: easy, natural-looking waves without a big fuss. Okay, so let's kick things off with the good news. Because, believe it or not, for a very specific type of person who wants a very specific look, this tool can actually get the job done pretty well. The review is super clear about who this is really for. If you've got medium to long hair and your hair is the kind that holds a style pretty easily, you're in the right ballpark. This thing is all about creating those loose, natural waves, that soft bend look. It's not for tight, defined curls. In fact, the review calls the result more of a curling suggestion. And of course, probably the biggest plus is if you are on a really strict budget. And this table really breaks it down. Think about a normal curling iron. It's got that clamp to lock your hair in place for a really structured curl. The InStyler just gets rid of it. You just wrap your hair and the bristles kind of do the work of holding it. It's a completely different approach, and it's built from the ground up for a much looser, wavier style. So it works for a very specific look. But as you can probably guess from the price tag, there are some pretty big trade-offs. This is where you have to start making some compromises. The review on HairBrushy.com just nailed it with this line: keep your expectations where your wallet is. It's a budget tool, and, well, it feels and performs like one. The key here is just knowing exactly what you're signing up for before you click buy. So what are these compromises? Well, for starters, the build quality. The review basically calls it cheap and fragile, a classic drugstore tool. This is not something you can just toss in your gym bag. You got to be gentle with it. And as for performance, we're back to that curling suggestion. It just creates a soft bend. And if you have short hair, the review says to not even bother. It's almost impossible to wrap. And just to be crystal clear, we are not talking high-end here. The review makes a point of saying, do not expect Dyson-level engineering. If you're used to premium tools, this is going to feel like a serious, serious downgrade. It's just not playing in the same league. All right, we've covered the good and the bad, but now we have to talk about the ugly. And I'm not talking about a minor little annoyance here. We're talking about a critical design flaw that, for a lot of people, is going to be a complete and total deal breaker. Yeah, this goes way beyond the tool just feeling a little cheap. We're talking about a flaw that can actually physically damage your hair. This is a whole different level of problem. Okay, so here's what happens. Apparently, after just a few times using it, the little cap on the very tip of the wand starts to get loose. When that happens, it creates this tiny little gap, an exposed edge right between the cap and the hot barrel. And when you wrap your hair around it, strands of hair get caught right in that gap. They get snagged. Ouch. And look, this isn't just some theoretical risk. It really happened. One of the testers for the review, Mish Switch, reported this exact issue. She said she was using it, and her hair got caught right there between the barrel and the cap. Not good. So the bottom line warning here is pretty stark. The risk of snagging your hair is real. And the review specifically warns that if you have very fine hair, you should probably stay away, since that type of hair is much more likely to get caught and break. Okay, we've seen the good, the bad, and the very, very ugly. So what does this all mean for you? Is this wand worth a shot? Let's break it down in the final verdict. All right, so who should actually consider buying this? According to the review, you might be okay with it if you're on a super tight budget, you have long hair that holds a curl well, and you promise to treat it very, very gently. Now, who should absolutely skip it? Pretty much everyone else. If you need a durable tool, if you have fine or short hair, if you want actual defined curls, or, and this is the big one, if the idea of your hair getting snagged is, understandably, a complete deal breaker. So in the end, it really all boils down to this one question. Is that low price tag actually worth the cheap feel and, more importantly, the very real risk of snagging and damaging your hair? Based on this review, that's the gamble you'd be taking.